Hello, welcome back to Fire Horizons Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Rizia. So, last time out, we had a meeting with President Alvarez from Lesbia. He was not too pleased about us buying the Aureus gas fields. And then we had a little chat with our mother, and then went to the House of Delegates, where we kinda, sorta supported a workers' rights motion. I don't know, that didn't go exactly as I had hoped, but, yeah, that's okay. So, in the interim here, I went ahead and sold some more energy, and then sold some of our military equipment to get us a little bit of budget, because of this thing here, to change our stake in the Royal Rizian Gold. Because, yeah, it costs 2 budget to boost it, which is worth it because it'll give us an additional budget per turn, which is great because we're only sitting at +1 budget right now, which is not great. I'm hoping once we get that oil field up and running and some of the other stuff going, we'll be able to boost that budget up a little bit more. But for now, though, we're going to go ahead and raise our stake back up to 45%, which will get us +1 budget per turn. Fantastic there. Yeah. Low military equipment, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that right now. And then I also wanted to... Where'd it go? Yeah, wanted to do this one. Legalize illegal substances. So, my guess is it kind of seems like it's probably, like legalizing weed or something, so... It obviously doesn't specifically say it, but that's kind of my guess. I'm happy with that. I mean, it's +1 budget per turn. It's not that big a deal. Got 2 for, 2 against, so, whatever. I'm happy with it. Get us some more money each turn as well, so that'll be very useful. I'm going to sign that decree as well. Yeah, legalize recreational substances, so yeah. Fantastic. Yep, looks like that gave us some new decrees to look at. So what do we got here? Let's see, sell second batch military equipment, which I'm not going to do. We don't have that much. And that looks like the only one. Cool. I'm still hoping here in the next churn or two I'll have enough money to do this naval shipyard expansion. Possibly even this gold mine. Those are kind of my eventual goals here. But let's see. That just added a whole bunch of things. Let's start with the overview here. So let's see. Military situation. Yeah, low military equipment stockpile, but I'm not overly worried about that because we'll be getting more, I think. And let's see. Economic situations. Let's see. Yeah, we own 45% Rizia Royal Gold now, which is very good. Let's see. Welfare. We have, yeah, legalized recreational substance use. The kingdom has decriminalized and regulated the use of certain recreational substances. Under this policy, individuals are permitted to use specific substances for recreational purposes without facing legal penalties. The government typically imposes regulations and restrictions to ensure the safe and responsible use of these substances, while also generating revenue through taxation oversight. Yeah, that literally just sounds like legalizing weed, which is, I don't know, it's whatever. I don't care. And then, situations, we have average living standards. Alright, that's not too bad. I mean, hopefully that means we're starting to go on the up and up there. Alright, we have a ton of news articles here. So, let's see here. We got 4 from the Royal Herald. So we have recreational narcotics soon to be available at your local pharmacist. In a radical change of policy, the palace has announced a limited legalization of certain illegal substances, including, but not limited to, the notorious yish yash and rat spice. Okay. This drastic change of approach follows growing international consensus that harm reduction and removing narcotics from the illegal circuit leads to less violent crime. Funds usually reserved for cracking down on the drug trade will now be diverted to education, addiction treatment programs, and other public health initiatives. Only licensed healthcare professionals like pharmacists and doctors will be allowed to sell these newly legalized narcotics. Alright, well that's not at all what I thought it was going to be, but whatever, it should be fine. Okay, and then Kingdom increases share in RRG. King Aromas has increased the royal stake in Rizia Royal Gold, with the monarchy now owning 45% of the profitable company. We can't help but wonder why not more of the pride of Rizia's economy is in the hands of our king, instead of being controlled by some capitalists like Rusty. But this is a vast improvement and an indicator of our king's economic plans for the country. And King overturns House of Delegates majority, passes safety laws. It was a somewhat puzzling day at the House of Delegates when, for the first time in many years, the King of Rizia overturned a delegate majority and ruled in favor of the minority leadership. In this case, King Romus Taurus opted to side with Rizian People's Party leader Manus Sazon and his proposal to pass new worker safety laws, disregarding majority leader Daria Darava's economic concerns. We at the Herald are sure that this decision was made with the good of Rizian citizens in mind and look forward to a safer tomorrow. However, we hope the day's events do not portend future clashes between the king and the delegates. I certainly hope not as well. Is that 4? No, there's only 3. Where's the 4th one? Must be at the bottom again. Yeah, there we go. Energy exports to increase minimally, and we've seen this one a whole bunch of times, so I don't really care to read it. Alright. Then we get 3 from Geopolitico. So Rizia's neighbors worried about drug legalization. After Rizia's drastic move to legalize an expansive list of illegal substances, including infamous drugs like yish yash and rat spice. Oh my, I can't stop laughing how stupid those names are. Some countries in the region have expressed their dissatisfaction with the Rizian kingdom. Fear exists that Rizia will become a safe haven for smugglers and turn into a distribution system in the entire region. Dirtia, which in recent years has struggled with drug influx from Agard, warned that it's considering putting travel restrictions to Rizia in place. Hegel tightens Galman trade. Chancellor Hegel of Vogsen, in a deft strategic pivot, is recalibrating the nation's economic ties within the CSP. By tapering off trade with Galman, Hegel is prompting to strengthen ties with other pact members, reflecting a concerted effort to consolidate the economic future within the sphere. This economic shift may serve as a bellwether for internal CSP relations, as Hegel navigates through the intricate web of inter-coalition politics. The realignment speaks volumes about the underlying ideological tensions in the game of economic diplomacy being played out in the Eastern Bloc, potentially signaling a new contentious chapter in the Pact. And then I'm guessing there's just another energy thing down here at the bottom. Yep, it's the exact same energy thing again. Coolio. Alright, well then, I guess, oops, there's a report down here. Didn't even see that buried under the portrait. Alright, so from the Republic of Morela. Morela sends congratulations for taking control of natural resources. When asked during a press conference, Morela's Prime Minister Alma Sultana said she welcomes Rizia's decision to take control over a larger part of the Royal Gold Corporation. She reiterated her government's position that countries should be in control of their own natural riches, which should, in her view, never be owned by either capital nor foreign power. Cool. Alright. Well then, I guess let's head back to Isa for a request for cooperation from Valen. Valen's intelligence forces have asked for our full cooperation in their investigation of the Zeal bombing. This means that Rizian security will be obliged to share any information they have found, and vice versa. I'm gonna hit cooperate. That feels like the right move to make there. Cool, we got our country relationship updated with Morela, I guess. Still says neutral, so I don't know, whatever, cool. Let's see, alright, we got 3 exclamation points, but I don't see any reports. There's a report from Valen. Alright, Valen thanks us for cooperation. Visic authorities have extended their gratitude to their Rizian counterparts for agreeing to cooperate on the Zeal bombing investigation, calling it an important sign of goodwill from the Rizian side, which was kind of the hope. Alright, so let's see what all we've got here. We have our Alliance of Nations session. Let's see. Some sort of squatting issue at the church. And wine exports. Alright, well, let's deal with these 2 shorter things here before we head to the Alliance of Nations. So let's just start with the wine exports. So, Rizia's vineyards are flourishing with heavy demand from a remarkable surge in wine exports, particularly Sordland and other East Marcopan nations. This unexpected boon has created a significant surplus in trade, positively impacting our national budget. Our strategic decision now is how best to allocate this additional resource. Alright, so it looks like it's the same either way, but I'm going to go with this one because it just seems slightly less confrontational. The Rizia's viticulture will travel around the world. It gives us +2 budget. Hell yeah. going to be very useful. Ooh, alright, let's see here. We have 2 news articles and 2 more reports. So, let's check the reports first, and I'll go hit that other thingy down there. Let's see here. So, Monkeys grapples with rising tourism trade demands. The governor of Monkeys faces new challenges as it becomes the epicenter of Rizia's surging trade exports and tourist arrivals. The influx of visitors, especially from Swordland, and the burgeoning wine trade has brought economic growth, but also concerns of cultural and environmental impacts. The situation is particularly strained in the entertainment district, where the blend of local tradition and foreign influence is most palpable. As Monkeys navigates these waters, balancing its historic role as a trade hub with its modern identity is proving to be a complex task. I wouldn't doubt it, but it's probably a good thing overall. And that, on the other hand, is not as good. From Topay, Swordish tourists disrupt ancient Topay site. A group of tourists from Swordland caused a disturbance at the ancient resident excavation site in Topay. The tourists, reportedly ignoring guidelines, ventured into restricted areas, damaging some recently unearthed artifacts. Local authorities have detained the individuals involved, and the incident has prompted calls for stricter enforcement of heritage site regulations. The City Council is considering implementing mandatory guided tours for foreigners to protect the site's integrity and educational value. To be fair, I would say mandatory guided tours for everybody, not just foreigners, but okay. Alright, so let's check out what was going on here in Montclar first, then we'll hit the news, because I'm sure it's going to give us a couple more. So, Golconda's Pilgrim Squat Plavo Sanctuary. Let's see, a group of dirty and Golconda's pilgrims, suspected to have entered the country via the Morelan border, have taken up residence unlawfully in the revered Plavo Arch Sanctuary. The monarchy now faces the choice: extradite these pilgrims to Dirty or Morella, or provide them with accommodation, ensuring their safety and upholding Golconda's religious sentiment. Alright, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and allow them to stay. It's going to be expensive, but I think that's going to be the best thing to do in order to try to maintain at least somewhat decent relations. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, that actually didn't give us any new news. Alright. Report from Plavo, though. Sanctuary wing converted into sleeping quarters. To accommodate the Golconist pilgrims occupying the Plavo Sanctuary, authorities have converted a less-used wing of the complex into temporary living space for the pilgrims. While some of the local Ruises community issued mild complaints, overall it would seem all religious communities prefer a peaceful solution over violent eviction. Exactly. That wasn't what I expected to happen, but I think that's actually a really good solution to that problem. Cool. Alright, so yeah, we got 2 newspaper articles, and then we'll head down to the Alliance of Nations. So, from the Royal Herald, Swordish tourists, a blessing or a burden? As our wine and whiskey industries flourish, attracting a flood of Swordish tourists, concerns have been raised about their impact on the Volunteers region. While the influx of visitors from Swordland following the lucrative trade and resort deals has undoubtedly boosted our economy, there is growing unease about the sometimes snobbish and arrogant behavior. Local residents and vintners expressed mixed feelings, appreciating the economic benefits but wary of the cultural and environmental implications of this newfound attention. And from Geopolitico, Rizia's wine exports reach new heights. Wine exports from the Kingdom of Rizia have marked a significant uptick, particularly with Swordland, signaling a strengthened position in the global market. Analysts suggest that this increase is not merely an economic triumph, but a diplomatic one, potentially ushering in a new era of regional partnerships. The government's astute trade policies and quality improvements in viticulture have been credited for this success. Fantastic. Yeah, I definitely enjoy the, addition to our budget over here. Alright, so I guess let's head back down to Kairut here for the Alliance of Nations meeting. It was a rainy day in Kairut, one of only a handful the island experienced per year. Well, that music seems really dramatic. Alright. The sound of the falling drops on the Alliance of Nations dome made for an unexpectedly soothing backdrop to what I could tell was going to be a tense session. I sat with Lorento and the rest of the Rizian delegation in the half-full assembly hall. Today's session was focused on South Marcopa only. Looking around the room, I could see representatives and leaders from Valen, Morella, Dirtia, and Lesbia. Duke Axel Reinhardt entered late, accompanied by a few of his ministers. He took a seat as far from the Lesbian delegation as possible. Nice. Alright, let's see. Let's go with that. Wonder how badly the two of them fell out.
Prime Minister Alvarez can't be happy. The last thing he wants is Rizia and Pelé making deals behind his back. Are you well, Your Majesty? Your father always had a case of nerves before these sessions.
My mother said something about Victor Smolik making an announcement.
I heard similar rumors, but nothing substantiated.
We called our attention to the front of the room as President Nines called the meeting to order. This was a special session, so the opening remarks were kept short. Before I knew it, it was time for the individual leaders of South Maricopa to present their speeches. Prime Minister Alma Sultana strode up to the podium. She had to lower the microphone to reach it.
Big trouble in a small package.
Well, let's see what she has to say before passing judgment. Can't say I really know much about her yet. The Morelan leader greeted the assembly. Her voice had a melodic lilt to it that I associated with quinoa. Mr. President, esteemed leaders and distinguished guests, it is my honor to speak in these hallowed halls for the first time. I come before you as a representative of the New Morella, a country committed to breaking free from the shackles of our oppressive past. A country that is now truly aligned with the AN values of justice, solidarity, and human dignity. And one that is proud to build bridges with those who share our vision of a more equal society. She nodded towards the upper seats of the assembly room. I looked behind me to see Volksani and Chancellor Emmerich Hegel applauding fiercely. Lorenzo, I thought this was a South Maricopan session.
Chancellor Hegel is not on the speaking program. He must have flown to Cairo solely to support Madam Prime Minister.
It is a time of transition for Morella, but as we redefine our principles and our partnerships, one fact becomes abundantly clear. We can no longer abide the senseless exploitation of our land, people, and resources. I knew this about the International Trade Zone.
She hasn't taken her eye off the topic since her election.
For too long, our so-called partners in the Neptune International Trade Zone have dug the ground out from under us. We've allowed them to ravage our soil and abuse our workers while reaping more than their fair share of the profit. When they send security forces to guard their gold, they leave the rest of Morella to the mercy of dirty and terrorists. Meanwhile, the shocking lack of mining regulations in countries such as Rizia shows they are no less careless at home than abroad. Why is she naming us? What about the corruption in lesbian industries?
Morella's international profile isn't large enough to go after a country of lesbian stature, yet.
Morella calls on the Alliance of Nations to recognize our human rights struggle, and to accept that if the Neptune might needs to continue, any wealth it generates must be reinvested in the Morellan people.
Brother, Madam Prime Minister.
Chancellor Hegel is standing now. The other AN guests turned their heads in his direction.
As fellow stewards of the International Trade Zone and fellow soldiers in the fight against imperialism, the nation of Vox supports Morella in its journey.
Can't you see that he's using her?
It's difficult to tell who's using whom.
Hegel sat back down. Nines motioned for Prime Minister Sultana to continue. I thank you all for your attention today and look forward to forging a brighter future for the people of South Maricopa. All of them. Lorenzo turned to me as the Morellan Prime Minister wrapped up her speech and returned to her seat.
It seems the trade zone is going to be more of a sticky point than I thought.
Nothing's going to be decided today anyway. It's all just talk.
I am also curious what Dirtia thinks for a terrorist mark, but we won't have to wait long to find out.
Supreme Wiseman Jorga Osma stepped onto the stage, dressed in a ceremonial robe with silver trim. Before speaking, he waved his hand in the air 6 times, representing the 6 pillars of gold. Jeez, Gulkandism.
I'm surprised he flew out here. Dirtius Supreme Wiseman normally refrains from speaking in public.
Whatever he has to say must be important.
I admit I'm very curious.
Supreme Wiseman spoke in a deep baritone.
Dear great and powerful leaders of South Makopa, in the name of Prophet Ruick, I salute you all. I am humble enough to know that we men alone cannot decide the fate of a continent, not without God's guidance. And it is God who has guided me here today. We are one of the few nations brave enough to let themselves be ruled by his law, but we are also a country like any other. Yet our attempts to find common ground with our neighbours have been rebuffed over and over, solely on account of our beliefs.
I looked over at where Alma Sultana was sitting. She was openly scowling.
The PM of Morela accuses us of violating a borders, yet it was not so long ago that we were one country. Because of arbitrary lines have been drawn, my people can no longer visit the graves of their ancestors or the shrines where they once worshipped. Every single one of us, Dirdia, Morela, Rizia, Valen, we all have different views, yet we are all united by the divine path of Saint Ruick. And it is my humble request that we Dirdians be able to follow that path as we have for centuries.
He sounds reasonable enough, I guess. I don't know.
But does what he's saying justify the violent acts committed by Dirdian pilgrims? On that note, concerns have been raised about the missile tests my country has been conducting.
What? Nice.
Our aim has only ever been to protect our people and way of life. It is God's will that we use this technology, not for evil, but to contribute to global security and stability.
Alma Sultana started laughing. God wants missiles? That's priceless.
All in the go can discuss, by your majesty.
That's a creepy gospel then. Asmal put his hands on the podium.
How far we have fallen, that the only country in South Makopa where the pillars of Nurti still stand tall is treated as a laughingstock. You all speak of superpowers, but I know there's only one superpower we need to worry about.
He pointed upwards. What, the ceiling?
The sooner our nations come together under him, the sooner true peace and prosperity can be realized.
Supreme Wiseman Asmal made the pillar sign again as he exited the stage. Ah, man. He's gonna make almost the same joke I did. Perfect, I love it. The chandelier is a superpower? Lorenta held back a laugh. Oh, but now it's time for the real heavy artillery. He gestured to an aide to begin taking notes as President Nines announced Victor Smolak. There were some whispers from within the room as Valen's president stepped up to the podium. He silenced him with a theatrical shushing motion, then continued. This guy is such a dick. I like him.
Dear fellow leaders, I wish I could say I was happy to be here, standing as one of the 6 proud nations of South Makopa. And yet, I feel only sorrow that our magnificent region has let itself be torn apart by forces greater than ourselves. I speak, of course, of Arcasia Nuremberg.
Conveniently leaving out United Quintana.
Yes, it doesn't count for the superpowers his patron. Convinced of the idea that might makes right, they sowed discord among us in order to strengthen themselves. And Valen, poor war-torn Valen, must pay the highest price. Who among you can deny Aetio's involvement in the Valen Civil War? Or Romberg's shipping of arms to the Blue Separatist movement?
Nobody in the hall said a word. Victor looked up at me directly.
It is to my everlasting regret that when Valen was at its weakest, our direct neighbours opted for an alliance with a nation that has sought to harm us at every turn. I do not blame the great kingdom of Rizia for its decision, but neither can I ignore that for the past 20 years, Romberg has maintained the presence to both our north and south. In light of that, I cannot simply accept that the Zeal bombing, the most heinous terrorist attack to occur in Valen since the Civil War, was the work of a few rogue agents. Especially since the government and agencies investigating the incident seem more interested in pinning the blame on Valen than uncovering the truth. What is to stop such violence from recurring? What will happen to the Vesics who made Zia their home on Rizia and by proxy Rumbark regain control of the region? I am a man who respects the rule of law, yet I cannot put my country people at risk by abandoning the territory while these questions still hang in the air.
Here it comes.
This is why I have decided to invoke the AA Threat Mitigation Protocol for treaty obligations to delay the return of Zeal until that risk is neutralized.
Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. I felt many pairs of eyes on me. Is that a real thing?
It is, Your Majesty, but no nation has ever voted before.
The murmurs from the room were growing louder. President Nines banged a gavel for silence.
If I may continue. It is not my intention to keep custody of the Zeal region forever. The sooner that safety and security are restored, the sooner we may begin preparing for an orderly transition. I hope for swift cooperation from His Majesty King Romus and my fellow South Maricopan nations. Together we are strong.
He raised his arms in expectation of applause. None came.
None of our neighbors are openly taking Valen's side. That bodes well for us.
Victor shook his head and left the stage. Damn it, what do I do?
You'll have a chance to comment soon enough.
I'll get in touch with Valen's four ministers as soon as we're back home. There may still be a way to straighten things out.
Now let's see if Prime Minister Alvarez has any words on the subject.
Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez was next. He straightened his tie as he approached the microphone.
Mr. President, may I just start by voicing my heartfelt support for this fine organization and the role that it plays. Were it not for the Alliance of Nations, there would be no way to stop our country's petty quarrels from devouring the world. Which, ladies and gentlemen, is precisely what's in danger of happening today. And I'll speak, of course, of the conspiracy to nationalize the Meftum International Trade Zone.
Is that a thing? Chancellor Hagel stood up again. Alvarez ignored him.
Let us not for 1 second believe that Morella is acting of its own accord. The long arm of the Cantonal Security Pact is behind this.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes more sense now.
By giving in to Prime Minister Sultana's demands, nations of Lesbian Rizia will be effectively paying to increase Cantonal's sphere of influence. I know I am not alone in wanting to avoid these disastrous consequences.
He looked around the room. I'm gonna applaud. Why not? I applauded from my seat. Lorenzo joined me.
I will remind Morella and Vogson that the Alliance of Nations is watching, as is the ATO. Any attempt to seize the international trade zone by unlawful means will be met with retaliation. That will be all.
I'll just applaud again, that's fine. I joined the rest of the room in applause as Alvarez left the stage.
Looks like Pelé is next.
Duke Reinhardt stepped up to the podium. With spotlight on the Pelasian leader, I could see that he had stubble on his chin and dark circles under his eyes. Poor Axel, he must be a bundle of nerves.
It's his first aid address, and he is quite experienced.
Duke Reinhardt cleared his throat, shuffled a few papers around.
As leader of the youngest nation in southern Macopa, I am humbled to be in this great hall. I am fully aware that everyone else in this room spent their lives preparing to be in power, whereas me... let's just say that calling me a dilettante would be generous.
I heard laughter from around the hall.
He's joking, but it is true. I wonder what he's getting at. But just because I'm experienced does not mean I am naive. Since the fall of the Vargas Empire, Palais has been battled over by nations much more powerful than itself. The Grand Duchy may be small, but it is not a plaything. Look at the art, literature, and thought that has come out of Palais in the last 30 years. Look at our technological innovation.
He glanced up at me.
Our new energy partnership with Rizia is a signal of Palais' entrance onto a greater global stage.
Patricio Alvarez was silently stewing in his deeds.
King Romus and I represent a new kind of monarchy, one that is young, flexible, and in line with modern values. And I invite my other colleagues in this esteemed organization to engage with us as equals, irrespective of the way we've been treated in the past. Furthermore, A criminal!
Duke Reinhardt looked shaken by the interjection. Well, as I was saying, we Pelasians.
No, I cannot stay silent when you make your untitled demands. Your family used Palais as a base to pillage the Shinan continent. Everything you had, you stole from someone else. And rather than give it back when the revolution forced your hand, you begged the capitalist swine of Lesbia to help you hold on to your ill-gotten gains.
I beg your pardon, Chancellor, but I'm not responsible for my family's sins.
But you're happy to profit from them, aren't you? Up there in your glass castle, I'll tell you to grind on. The cracks are beginning to show.
President Nines, please remove the Chancellor from the session at once. Hagel frowned at me.
You are equally culpable, Your Majesty. The days of both of your monarchies are numbered.
After a short back and forth, President Nines issued the Chancellor a stern warning. He glared out from his seat as Duke Reinhardt finished his speech. He tapped on the mic nervously. I see the Chancellor is resentful that the people of Palais chose the firm leadership of the Reinhardt family over the chaos of revolution. Yes, the Grand Duchy aided in the colonialist aims of the Vargas Empire. But like Vogsen, we are ready to put that past behind us and look towards the future. We simply have a different vision. Palais may not yet have truly earned its spot in this assembly, but it is my hope that we will. His voice regained its full confidence now. And any nation that attempts to stop us from doing so will be met with a strong and resolute response. He rushed back to his seat as chatter erupted from the rest of the assembly. It's certainly been an eventful session, Your Majesty. I hope you're ready for your speech. Oh, I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I took a deep breath as President Nines announced my name. Lorenzo gave me a quick smile of encouragement as I left my seat. I stepped up to the podium to a smattering of applause. The delegations from Valen and Lesbia stayed pointedly silent. Most respected leaders of South Marcopa. My monarchical forebears instilled in me a great respect for this institution and its values. Should I stay slightly neutral on this part? The Aeon's unwavering commitment to peace and justice in times of tension is a true inspiration. Which is why I'm so saddened by the division plaguing South Marcopa. I am aware that the comments made by President Victor Smollett early in the session demand a response from me. Let's see. The AN threat mitigation protocol can only be invoked under extreme circumstances. In my opinion, the Zeal incident is not one of them. The bombing was a tragedy. However, my kingdom has taken the necessary steps to ensure it will not be repeated. Boy, let's see here. I'm gonna go with that one. President Smollett pointed his finger at Rumberg, yet failed to mention the financial backing his own country has received from United Quintana. We are not fighting for a sliver of Rizia. We're fighting for the future of South Marcopa. Sounds like a pretty decent, diplomatic way to go about that. Alright, let's see here what else. I'll just click that one, why not? Prime Minister Sultana, in light of the human rights violations Valen has committed, Marela surely cannot stay silent. Alma Sultana applauded somewhat hesitantly. Can I call it anybody else? Yeah, kind of. I call on the rest of you to choose a side. History may ride on this outcome. Moving on. I cannot ignore the presence of Chancellor Hagel and his newfound interest in our neighbor Morella. I saw Hagel lean forward in his seat intently. Rizia and Morella have maintained good relations for centuries. It pains me to see this noble country fall victim to Vogsland's influence. Morella is free to choose its own political direction, but it cannot use those politics to wantonly lay waste to its neighbors' economies. Alma Sultana folded her arms, her expression stony. If I may be honest, it makes the most sense for both Vogsland and Lesbia to end their involvement, as neither share a direct border with Morella. The Lesbian and Vogslandian delegations broke into hushed whispers. President Nines gestured for silence again, and then motioned for me to continue. I also believe a compromise can be reached regarding Dirtia's religious travelers. Their right to their sacred sites should not be ignored, but neither should the violent methods they have employed in the past. Scattered applause came from around the assembly hall. Finally, a word regarding Palais. Like Duke Reinhardt, I believe our nation's burgeoning partnership represents the dawning of a new golden age. Let's go with that one. We both wish to end the cycle of violence started by our predecessors. Certain nations have tried to turn us against each other for their own benefit. No more. Regarding the remarks by Chancellor Hagel, let's go with that one. Just because the Vogslandian Revolution failed in Palais does not delegitimize it as a country. And Duke Reinhardt and his delegation broke into enthusiastic applause. Hagel looked displeased. President Nines motioned to the clock. My speech gone over its runtime. I will conclude with these words. For too long, we've let the superpowers wield their influence over us. But Rizia and our partners in grace are prepared to demonstrate that the monarchy still has significance in this modern world. Thank you. I sat down, and Aide handed me a glass of water.
Well done, Your Majesty. It'll take a while to digest the ramifications. Let's update on all this once we're back in Rizia.
Filing back out of the assembly hall, I noticed the sound of the rain on the dome had stopped. Another sunny day in Constantium. Fantastic. Alright, that was pretty long. Alright, I guess we're still neutral with Dirtia? I don't know if we were neutral before or not, but alright, that's cool, I guess. Alright, so we got at least a few reports over here, a bunch of newspaper articles, a couple thingies. But, yeah, that went a lot longer than I expected. So, that feels like as good of a place as any to come call for today. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time.